Mojang were out of control when they added this new input method to Minecraft, but I think unlike most people, they are moving in the correct direction, and there's a lot of really interesting new functions you can only do because of these weird new buttons that have appeared on your screen if you're a touch player. There's some really interesting new things you can only do as a result of these new controls, and let's talk about exactly what they are and why I think this is actually the future of Minecraft on phones and tablets, which is over 100 million Minecraft players. Which is a bold claim to make, but trust me, as someone who has a really hard time with the old touch controls, you know, this classic D-pad in the bottom left and the jump button in the bottom right, I really enjoy these new controls, and let me show you why. But first, let me show you how you enable them in case you're not familiar. You just go to the pause menu in the beta or the preview, and if you are in one of those versions, you'll see enable touch controls at the top here. This will now give you the brand new joystick as well as the jump and the crouch button. But if you want all 5 of the new buttons, which is the real way to enjoy this, you want to go back to the pause menu, you want to go back to touch, you want to turn on in this new interaction model, crosshair, and then press show action button, and then turn off sprint on movement. It's a lot of settings to go through, but that gives you this brand new 5 button and joystick control scheme, which is a lot more than we had before, and which I've seen a lot of criticism of, but I think it has some real benefits. So first of all, let's explain how it works, because obviously the joystick on the left is self-explanatory. We now have a full 360-degree range of movement, which is pretty huge in my opinion. This is a big upgrade to the controls if you can stomach it. There's some big downsides, but we'll talk about that later. And then we've got the jump button as the top left, and then we've got the crouch button, as you can see right there. Then we've also got a punch button, and we've got the place button. These are now separated, which means you can do both of those while having the same item out. We can punch while using our ice, or we can place the ice at the exact same time without having to play around and do some weird stuff. I really like that. It's easy to just like switch back and forth as simply as this between them. Really big fan of that. And then finally, we have the sprint button, which is while you're holding forwards, you can press this to activate sprinting. You can still activate sprinting the old way. Oh man. There's a do not disturb in here somewhere, right? Honestly, should just turn my phone on do not disturb the entire time. Like, who wants to be disturbed, right? Like, no one's excited to be disturbed while they're using their phone for something. Anyway, actually, I think some people are. You know, if you want to be disturbed while you're on your phone, leave a comment down below, and make sure to disturb yourself by turning those notifications on. I can disturb you all day, every day, baby. Anyway, with that said, these are the 5 buttons. They're as simple as that. And Minecraft's been soliciting feedback on this, and they've got a lot of criticism from various players, and I want to go through them very briefly because I think they are valid. People say things like the joystick is significantly worse than the D-pad because it covers up so much of the screen. Bear in mind, it doesn't just cover all of this by itself that you're seeing on the left. It also covers up where your thumb is moving to do all of those movements, which means a lot of the Minecraft world is not going to be visible as a result of this. This is a valid criticism, and I hope they add like an opacity setting where you can make it next to transparent if you want to. I think it's already doing a pretty good job, but I think there, in fact, already is a way to move around that. I think that already does a good job, but the joystick itself cannot be, transparented right now, something which I think they could do some good by changing. Also, I think the buttons on the right might do some good from having size options enabled. Again, a lot of people have faults at just how much is going on the screen, and as well as having size be changeable, I would also, if we're making our dream world anyway, I'd also say, why don't we make their position changeable? Because I've seen some criticism saying that the camera, because the way this works is the camera can be moved from anywhere on the screen. I'll give you little red boxes right now to highlight. I'm moving from the left of the screen right now, I'm moving from the right of the screen right now, I'm moving from where my torch is, and I'm moving from underneath the joystick. Okay, you can't move from underneath the joystick. It just assumes if you're moving down here, you're trying to move the joystick. But yeah, you can move from anywhere on the screen besides where the joystick is, even behind the buttons if you want to, although that just did something different. You can move your joystick from anywhere, the camera from anywhere, but this is, it kind of just assumes that you want to use this bottom right area to move the camera, and then the buttons right up here at the bottom, top right. It'd be nice if they could let you move those either all the way to the top right or all the way to the bottom right. I think taking up the full right side of the screen is less desirable than I would go for if I was starting from scratch. Speaking of starting from scratch, let's start, now that we've gone through the criticisms from the feedback site, let's go through why I think these are revolutionary anyway. I think there's a lot of big downsides to these new touch controls, but I think the upsides are so much greater, and not just to Minecraft players as a whole. I've already discussed how this allows us to do new things with Minecraft. I think re-evaluating touch controls is very important for a game with as many players on as many platforms and as many controls as Minecraft has. But I also think, while we're on the subject, it's important to know, oh, we need to eat very badly. I think it's also important to note that, like, these new controls are not just great from a everyone perspective, they're great from an individual perspective. Because now if you are someone who plays Minecraft, let's say on a controller, or let's say keyboard and mouse, as I do both, it can be really confusing to go into touch Minecraft and work it out from scratch. And even if you're a touch player, there's a lot of things that are just kind of awkward and cumbersome to get used to. And so having a control scheme which is like, yeah, it's the same stuff, it's just now the buttons are all in one place, makes it easier to do stuff like, okay, I'm gonna punch the other player. This llama is a player right now. Then I'm gonna eat, and then I'm gonna go straight back to punching. I mean, I'm gonna get hit, spit by the llama instead, and then I want to mount the llama, and like the fact that you can do that all in one place. Can the llama can the llama not spit on me while I'm mounting him? Have I found the solution to this? I think I have. I personally really like that. I think that having all 5 buttons means that you can make more conscious decisions. Yeah, there we go. I've solved my problem. You sit on the llama, and he can't spit at you. That is my life pro tip. But yeah, I think that's a really cool decision, and I think that being able to do this stuff makes at least survival a little bit less cumbersome, if nothing else. But you know what else I think? I think that these new controls are really great, not for the survival player necessarily. Obviously, PvP is going to have some mild benefits. Playing survival is going to have some mild benefits. I like stuff like right now, instead of just having to auto jump through water, you now have like a sink through water button as well as a float through water button, so you can actively sink or float or sink or float. As you can see, those buttons change. I really like that. I think there's so many cool things about these controls. I also think that, you know, even dumb things, like using an Elytra is very slightly easier in my opinion. Again, I feel like this is one of those controversial stances, but I like how the Elytra works a lot more now, because if we equip one, and then we, let's grab our firework, we can now spam the jump button, and then immediately switch to the touch button, the bottom right one there, so we can like, okay, let's let go of the jump, and then, wait, can we do that? We can, there we go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna activate this one again. We're going to spam the jump, and then we just immediately hit the button. That's a lot easier to do than just hitting a whole side of your screen and hoping that things work just fine. I think touching, having distinct touch points that are next to each other makes stuff like that a little bit easier. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe you disagree, but personally I love it, and personally I feel like it helps make things just a little bit more chill. But this isn't the type of flying that I think mostly benefit from these new controls. I think these new controls are a godsend for creative mode. So, fun fact, this is the creative copy, this is the download copy of my world, which is why we can now turn it into creative, because it isn't a real copy. As you can see, we go to the settings, it's called Toycat's Let's Play World, and it's what I downloaded from the marketplace. The easiest way for me to get my world to my phone is to use the marketplace, which is a weird thing to say, but welcome to the world we live in. And if we hop ourselves into creative, let me show you why I think these new controls are really so good. Because as you can see, while you're standing on the ground, the controls look exactly the same. You're doing stuff and it works exactly the same, but there's a lot of cool things they've done for creative specifically. As you can see, we've got specific flying up and down buttons now in a way that is just so much easier to activate. Again, is reminiscent of controller and keyboard mouse controls. Now you will have that full range of motion that you can do stuff with. It's also easier to sprint while just doing these things. Like I like it a lot, but then also having these extra buttons for, you know, like place versus break makes it easier for when you're doing something like, say you're detailing an ice mountain, so you want to break a ton of blocks because that's important to you, and then you want to replace those blocks with some ice. It's now a lot easier to just kind of switch back and forth on a dime's notice if you are doing something where you don't know necessarily at a given point in time whether you're going to break or place because you're terraforming or whatever else. I really like the new controls for creative. I think they do a really good job on that, because yeah, it is kind of cumbersome to do this like double forwards thing when we can just instead press the sprint button while we're trying to fly up anyway. And yeah, really like that. Has to be said, these new controls are good for survival, they're good for PvP, but they make a game changer for creative in my opinion. Again, if we're being entirely honest with ourselves, the reason that only 33% of players have been to the end, or only 56% of players have opened their inventory in a legit survival world, is because for so many people who play on tablets and phones, Minecraft is a creative experience, either half survival, half creative nonsense, or just people playing around in creative, because to them it's like a Lego style game. It's a game about building the things, and so making the game more convenient for builders there, you know, you want to make yourself a giant I don't know, what do people make these days? I bet very appropriate, very fun things, right? But if you want to make things, it's now just a little bit easier to do so, and that is a big improvement. However, I do have my own criticisms to add to the fire, because I've been very positive so far. I've said there's only like a couple of real improvements they need to make with regards to like, couldn't we move the buttons, and couldn't we make this potentially? Look how ridiculous it is just swinging around on the left side of the screen. I think there's definitely some improvements to be made here. However, the biggest one is not either of those. It's the fact that we don't have, in my opinion, we don't have enough button options. The fact that the most buttons you can have on screen at a time is 5, even if you're playing on a tablet. Obviously on a phone, I'd say 5, maybe 6 buttons is the limit of what we can do and actually effectively do stuff. But yeah, actually, like, you know, move around and do things great that way. However, if you are a oh, actually, sorry, one sec. I have one last thing. This is way more important. I need to tell you this. You can actually, if you're in creative mode, this doesn't work in survival, sadly. What you can do is you can hold down the place button, as you can see, and it will just automatically place things. So you can do this like bridging style. I guess you could probably do that in survival too. But if you want to, like, in a normal situation, if you're trying to like, yeah, you know, this is the stereotypical Minecraft build style. You want to fly up and place things at the same time. Now you can press both of those buttons. Am I doing that correctly? I'm not sure I am. We can press both those buttons. No, we can't. But if we want to go forwards as an example, so we're going to jump and we're going to place. We can now have, by holding down the touch button, as you can see. Oh, no, we can't. Okay, so I had a hard time getting this to work, but basically by being able to hold this touch button forwards, you can effectively do much more interesting things of how you place blocks, as people actually do want to do when they're playing Minecraft. Again, I have no idea why it works sometimes and doesn't work other times. Maybe after a while of doing it. There we go. Okay, so you got to place a few blocks naturally first, but then you can start to just kind of follow onwards in a single direction. You can even let go of the direction as long as you come back. It will let you kind of come into it. And it's really useful for, say, building a big wall or, again, other really handy creative things. And see, I really like this feature. But to go back to my criticisms, I would say the fact that we only have, even at the maximum now, 8 buttons on screen at a given point in time, plus a joystick, feels like a really low amount. I think that, again, allowing people, if they want to have more buttons and more options, seems like a good thing. Moving from 1 button, or 2 buttons really, up to 5 is a really nice, cool one. But why is it that we have only access right now to jump, crouch, punch, place, sprint, and then pause chat, and is that change perspective up there? I think that is, right? The little button. Nope. It's emotes. Come on, Minecraft. There's no change perspective button. We have an emote button. We have the ability to emote, but we can't go into third person to actually enjoy those emotes. In case you're curious, the way you go into third person on a phone, I figured they would have changed this a while ago, but apparently the way you still do it is you go to video and you change camera perspective, and then from here, we can now press that emote button and we can enjoy watching ourselves do the over there emotion. You know what's the deal with that, Minecraft? For real? That's how we're gonna do this? So besides the button which, like generates microtransaction revenue, the chat button, the pause button, and the 5 we're mentioning, there's no other ones you can put on the screen, as best I'm aware at least. And I think that's a big downside. I think being able to change this perspective from within the game is like the bare minimum we should be able to expect, right? Is that, I must be missing it. I don't believe that there's no way to change perspective without going into the controls there. Is there really no setting here? There's not. What there is, by the way, though, is there is a lefty setting. I cannot stand this. I tried this and it's very hard and it confuses me. But if you want to play with the buttons on the left and the joystick on the right, it is possible if you've got more left-hand dominance, which, let's be honest, you don't. As we all know, left-hand people are made up by witches or the devil, or I don't know what the story is, but you're wrong and you should feel wrong about your dominant hand. But then, so as well as lefty being enablable, we also have button size being able to be changed. So I want to take this up to 99 just to see what that looks like. And yeah, personally, if we ignore the joystick taking up, what is that, like 30% of my screen real estate? We also then have, like 5 giant buttons here. Whereas if we also want, if we've got really dexterous thumbs, or you're playing on a tablet, probably more relevant people playing on tablets. But what you can also do is you can turn this way down. You can also turn the thumbstick opacity down to like, what, 11%. And if we do that, this is the minimum amount of obtrusiveness. Oh, there is a thumbstick opacity. My bad. I am, you know, how embarrassing of me. But I read complaints that were wrong, clearly. I should not have taken them at face value. But as you can see, these buttons really do some very delightful... Like, having them on small is a way to make the game more visible for yourself. If you really want to. I'd say the joystick, probably 11% is a bit too small, but I think these buttons are actually almost the right size. So yeah, I think our happy place is probably in like the 25, 40 region maybe. Let's confirm actually. Let's find. Oh, we're at 0, so we'll take it up to 25, and I'll take the thumbstick opacity up like 50. So we can still be very clear. I don't want to play Mike. You know, actually, why don't we just accept one of these Mike? Okay, well that went well. I figured I'd be nice, but Minecraft doesn't want to play along. And so yeah, as a result, I'd say this is like the happy medium where you can still see most of your screen, but you're not being blinded. But you still got like easy access to all the controls. You can punch and you can break and you can do those things to terraform. I really like these new controls. I really do feel like they're changing Minecraft, and I love that they put the extra effort in to like have different controls when you're mounting a llama or a horse, different controls for when you're I don't know, inside of water, as you can see. So now we can also sprint, we can swim by pressing the sprint, as well as going up and going down while in the water. There's all sorts of different improvements that are here, and it's going to take some time to adjust to, but my only complaint is like, well, if we're going for an adjustment time anyway, let us add a perspective switching button. That seems like a very important one in my opinion. But as well as a perspective switching button, I would love to see better hotbar controls. I think the fact that if you want to, oh man, you know what? Why do people invite me to Minecraft? Have you ever seen a Toy Cat video where I join a random world? I don't know if you have. But yeah, we only have these 8 buttons on screen, one of which is an emote button. Why, you know, which again, we'll leave that to the side for now, because of course, Microsoft's gonna keep their stuff in interest. But like, yeah, I feel as though, oh, the amount button is the same when you're in a boat. It still has the little horse button to get out of that. But yeah, I would love to see more button options, because sure, 7 buttons on screen is not for most people, 6 buttons on screen is not for most people, but let's at least have the options. If we could even, if you really want to, make this tiny little left button right here into the perspective switcher, as well as the emote button. You know, like emotes, and then also, you know what, no, can we not do both those things? We cannot? Okay, that's fine. But more button options would be great, because yeah, I can really get down with these controls. I don't know if I'd play very well with them, but I think if I spent some real time at it, I could do some great things. That sounds like a video idea, right? Let's spend a dozen hours playing with the new controls, and let's see what we think of them then. I don't think I actually will do that, but if you want to see it, let me know. If you do like being disturbed by strangers on your phone, as indeed lots of people want to do to me today, then just make sure to, I don't know, like the video, and so subscribe, those notifications turned on. I will bother you at 1 PM on a Saturday to tell you that there's news about the Warden and about Minecraft's, I don't know, bees, and if you want to see that, then, I don't know, go see a therapist. Goodbye. Wait, no wait, you can't tell your subscribers to see a therapist. Actually, you know, I can tell my subscribers. You know, it's healthy to keep yourself emotionally in check. And because in reality, it's prohibitively expensive to get mental health treatment in most of the Western world, have you instead considered developing a parasocial relationship with your favorite internet creators? That is a definite solution instead. Thank you very much for watching. Obviously, everything I said in this video was a joke. Even when, you know what, the fact that I didn't know the opacity on the thumbnail controls, the fact that I took someone's word for it at face value, says that you shouldn't really trust me with anything besides, I don't know, fish and chips. Goodbye.